Right, I think that's working now. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think we're live. Hopefully we're live. Yeah, it sounds like I'm live. Good stuff indeed. Well, thanks for that. Whoever bloody dust in the bloody computer. Who knows? Right, who cares? Whatever, we'll crack on with all this rubbish. Unfortunately, Chappie and Mumford have retired. Everybody else has set a time so far. There you go. Pretty much good stuff. Wonderful, cracking, interesting, wonderful, great stuff from Zandvoort. So yeah, must be some sand in my computer. But there we go then. Sweet MJP currently on pole position there at an 8.761. The only driver so far in the 8 as well, which is looking pretty good indeed for Sweet MJP. Good stuff from him. Currently on the pole position there. Dylan in P2. They're currently in P3 in the championship. Kamara Racer looking good in the Aston Martin. The other Aston Martin in P5 of Tango. And Brabbit in P4. Junior in P6. Ultimate Beast in P7. Ivan in P8. Dopey Lemons in P9. Reflection currently in P10 coming back to the pit lane. Dan and Craig are both the Alpha Carriers just outside the top 10. Both the Red Bulls as well into P13 and 14. VTOD in P15. Favre in P16. So the Alpha Carriers, the Alpines and the Red Bulls are doing a good job of keeping it in order. Golden Wolf in down in 17th. Mumford and Chappie, of course, not setting a time in qualifying. They have retired in the session, and Kaz is on an outlap as we speak. So good stuff indeed. That is your rundown of qualifying so far, because we missed half of it, or more than half of it, because of my lovely setup. So there we go then. Kaz is back in the pit lane, so that is him done and dusted. Kamara Racer is out on track then, coming through in towards the end of Sector 1. And let's see what the Aston Martin can do. He's done a great job, I think, in especially the tracks where there's a lot of high-speed corners, just like Zandvoort as well. Kamara Racer is looking racy once again. A bit of a back-end loss there through into Sector 2 now as we come round the long left-hander, or the second, or the first DRS zone, unfortunately going a bit over the curbs there. Has invalidated his time. We'll go back to V. Todd, who is the other driver out on track, who is harvesting some energy there. So he's not going out, he's not going for a fast lap just yet. Dylan is on an out lap now, coming through the banked turn 4. Turn 4, I'm going to call it turn 4. Good stuff. Yeah, so there we go then. Thanks very much for the 34 views on the original stream. That qualifying was absolutely fantastic. Well, the first part of qualifying was absolutely fantastic. You didn't miss anything. Don't worry about it. Good stuff indeed. Dylan is in P2 currently, looking to trying to get that pole position. V Todd has yet to set himself alight here in the qualifying just yet. He's done a 10.253 as it stands, but he's back at it again to try and take the fight there to the drivers ahead of him now, and trying to get himself into the 9s, maybe even into the 8s if he can, as Reflection has retired. I think he's in the pit lane there. Oh, as what's happening there? Oh, I thought that was going to be some traffic there for V Todd, but he's managed to escape it, and I'm not quite sure what the Haas is doing there in turn 4 there. That was I think it was Kaz. Yeah, Kaz not doing a great job there of getting off the racing line. Well, he did get off the racing line completely, to be fair, but he's not doing a good job there for his tyres. V Todd now flying through in towards Sector 2. Let's see what the Alpine can do. Is he up on his time? I didn't know we missed the sector time, didn't we? Brilliant. Good stuff indeed. We'll have to wait and see what Sector 2 is saying, as we've got yellow flags all over the circuit now. Some drivers there just getting out of the way of others who are starting their laps. Here comes V Todd now down the... oh, he's gone wide over the curbs there, and that is... well, it's not cost him any time. Well, it's not invalidated his time, I should say. It might have cost him some time there, but he's still 3.5 tenths up on his time. We'll put him in the realms of the Red Bulls. And now into Sector 3 there. Not many corners in Sector 3. Of course, you've got that chicane, and then, of course, this treacherous right-hander trying to get that right is quite difficult indeed. But V Todd is on the money there. No ERS. The ERS light runs out. Well, ERS runs out quite quickly as he's up into P14. Does improve by almost half a second there for V Todd. Good stuff from him. But it just shows how close the how fast the rest of the grid is as well. They only improved by 1 spot there. But yeah, oh dear, what's happening? I think we've had a crash there. As V Todd's gone off in the. Yeah, people. I would not use the inside of turn 4 as a runoff area, but it seems like people are opting to do that for some reason. Reflection, like I said, retired in the pit lane, so he's not going to be starting any higher than P10 as it stands. Let's have a look and see who's going to be next across the line. I think it might be Dylan. Here comes Dylan there to the line in the Alfa Romeo. He has improved. He's into the 8s, but he's not improved enough there to take pole position away from Sweet MJP. He's done a fantastic job there in the early stages of qualifying. Of course, this is the last few runs there for these drivers. Yellow flag. It's for a Haas who's had a problem there. Ginner's had a problem there at the exit of the final corner, it looks like, and Ginner has spun the car around and thankfully he's ghosted there, because that Williams, I think, was flying through. SweMJP now is back out on a lap. We'll come back to him because we've got a Red Bull of Mr. Elite just starting a lap as well. We've got AlphaTauri coming around with Craig R up to the line for Craig R. No, he's abandoned his lap time there. He's back in the pit lane. Here comes Dopey Levens in the other Alfa Romeo. What can he do up to the line? It's going to be close indeed, and he stays P9, but he has improved. I don't think he did improve, actually, unfortunately for him. We've got Mr. Elite parked there on the exit of the pit entry there. SweMJP's gone faster still. This is incredible from the Williams driver. Look at him go. He's up into the 8.5s, or down into the 8.5s, I should say, really. But he has got himself he did have himself a 4/10 gap, but he has now been that's been pipped to the post by Tango, who's got himself into P2 with a 8.7 as well. Kamara racing there round the final corner. Let's see what Kamara can do as he's coming up to the line. He's coming back in the pit lane there, so he's not going to be starting any higher than P4. Here comes B Rabbit there, the championship leader, and up to P4 he goes. He displaces Kamara Racer, who's retired in the pit lane there. B Rabbit there into P4 onto the second row of the grid. I think that's it, qualifying done and dusted, apart from Dan, who is coming round to the final corner now. Let's see what the AlphaTauri can do. Can he get himself in the top 10? He's not far off. He's abandoned his lap time, and I think a few drivers there have abandoned their lap times on that last attempt there. Farf there with no front wing coming back to the pit lane now. So yeah, just Mr. Elite to get himself round to finish off the qualifying, but very short qualifying indeed, because I was busy trying to get my laptop to work. Good stuff indeed. Mr. Elite there just getting himself back to the pit lane. Dan getting wheeled away as he's stayed in P11 there, unfortunately. But what a finish to the qualifying, and what a fantastic performance there from SweMJP there in the Williams car as well. Fantastic stuff indeed. A really good time indeed. I think he's probably beaten my qualifying time from Gold yesterday, which isn't a surprise, to be fair. But well done to SweMJP there for pole position here in Zandvoort. Tango there in P2, and I think Dylan in P3. The championship contenders, Dylan, B Rabbit and Tango, all in the top 4 as well as SweMJP. So that's going to be close indeed between the challengers for the title. Then there is your rundown there from the qualifying here in Zandvoort. There, SweMJP there on pole position, Tango in P2, Dylan in P3, B Rabbit there at P4. Kamara Racer unfortunately retired there on the last lap. Not sure if he just had a bit of a problem there and had to abandon the lap time, but he finishes P5 in the qualifying. That is Ultimate Beast in P6, Junior in P7, Irvine in P8, Dopey Lemons P9, Reflection stays in P10 after retiring very early on in the qualifying as well. Dan and the other AlphaTauri of Craig are there, P11 and 12 just outside the points there. Mr. Elite in P13, V Todd in P14, Gordo P15, Kaz there in P16. Farf was on the hard compound tyres, it says there, so he's starting P17. Golden Wolf there in P18. Mumford, of course, did have a quali ban, so did not qualify, did not set a time, and Chappie there retired at the beginning of the session as well. Right then, we've got a race now, so good stuff indeed. We're getting ourselves loaded in for the race. Is it going to be raining here in Zandvoort? We'll have to find out. It doesn't look rainy overhead. It is at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see if there's going to be any sort of changes during the race. But it looks like a nice dry start, a nice sunny start there for the drivers here in Netherlands. So we're ready to get going now. We're just waiting for the drivers now to set their strategies, set their fuel loads, set their tyre compounds and whatnot, and set their tyre pressures as well. Gordo has said surely there'll be safety cars, but at the moment, well, not at the moment. We haven't got any safety cars, thankfully. We did have a safety car off the start there in Gold, didn't we, last night, which probably was helpful for Farf, who is of course the Gold admin there, to not have any incidents into turn 1 on lap 1, and of course it sort of nullified the race start, didn't it? But we have seen that a few times in Gold, not Gold really, that was the first time last night, but we've seen it a few times in Silver, and of course in we have got a formation lap. We have seen it a few times in Silver and in Bronze as well, whether it's been a safety car or a VSC off the grid lights. But we'll have to wait and see if that's going to come back again. Hopefully not, and we can get some racing straight away from the 5 red lights there. But of course, there we go. Then SweMJP will lead us away. We will switch over to the tyre compounds to see what everybody's tyres are like. Chappie and Mumford there from the back of the grid on the soft compound tyres. That is pretty interesting indeed. I'm not sure what's happened to Chappie there. He's decided to stop on the track. And it looks like his wheel's bugging out there because his actual wheel, his wheel on the game is bugging out as well. So I'm not quite sure what's happening to Chappie there. He's having a few problems. It looks like Mumford in P19 on the soft compound tyres. Golden Wolf there, his debut in the Williams was last week, I think, actually. But it's my debut for commentating on him in the Williams. He's on the medium compound tyres. Farf on the hards in P17. Kaz on the mediums in P16. Of course, reserving tonight in the Haas for pot stuff, and Gordo there on the soft compound tyres as well. So there's only 3 runners on the soft compound tyres, and Gordo is the highest up in that order. Of course, in P15 in the Red Bull there, V Todd on the medium compound tyres in the Alpine. And then we've got Mr. Elite there in a Red Bull sandwich. There is V Todd, but Mr. Elite there is going to be leading away in the pack of the Red Bulls. That is the 2 of them. That is as well behind his sister team of the AlphaTauris. There, both the AlphaTauris. They're just outside the points there on the hard compound tyres. Then we've got Reflection on the mediums in P10, Dopey Lemons in P9 on the hard compound tyres. Everybody from Irvine, Jinner, Ultimate Beast, Kamara Racer, B Rabbit and Dylan up into P3 on the medium compound tyres. And in the front row is Tango in P2 on the hards, and Sweet MJP, the pole sitter here in Zandvoort, on the medium compound tyres. Right then, hopefully Chappie is able to take the race start and has got his issues resolved, because that didn't look very good from the formation lap. Right then, we've got ourselves lined up on the grid, I think. Have we? Oh dear. Yes, we have. Good stuff indeed. Here come the 5 red lights here in the Netherlands. Then the 5 red lights are on, and away we go for the Dutch Grand Prix. And again, not a great camera angle, but we have switched to a much better one now. Here comes 300p, covered off Tango down the inside there. Dylan trying to go around the outside. It's going to be a bit of a mess there if they go 3 wide through turn 1. They've made it through, but Tango takes the lead on the hard compound tyres. Great stuff indeed from Tango in the Aston Martin. Dylan and Bree Rabbit, they're battling away through turn 4, and there's action in the background. There's cars going wide. Gino's got himself up into P6. No, there's contact with Irvine there into turn 4, and he's got himself through, but there's going to be carnage. I think there's going to get collected by the rest of the cars coming through the field at such pace, but they've managed to stay somehow out of danger. So I didn't know how they done that. That was fantastic. Dan and Craig are both dropping down the field, who should switch to the position changes, of course. That will be much better as well. Ultimate Beast up into P7. They're getting himself past Mr. Elite. Jinner's got through as well. Mr. Elite is having problems there in the Red Bull. He's got himself up a few places there, but he's struggling. He's struggling now as well. Mumford has got himself up at 9 places. Into the top 10 is Mumford there from the back of the grid. And now diving down the inside of Dopey Lemons there into the chicane. He's got the move done up into P9. Up 10 places for the McLaren there. And he's on the soft compound tyres, of course, making use of those soft compound tyres as we go through to finish off the first lap there. Fantastic stuff indeed. B Rabbit's got himself past Dylan there, and now trying to chase after Sweet MJP there. Sweet MJP not had a great start on these medium compound tyres. He would have thought he would have had a better start than Tango, but Tango has taken the lead into the first corner, and Chappie is struggling. He's got a problem there with the car. I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do there. He just needs to get himself sorted. Dan's had a problem at turn 1 as well. He's got himself back underway in the AlphaTauri. The Alpines are battling side by side through turn 4, and Farf takes the ascendancy there away from V Todd there. Chappie just trying to get himself back underway. That's the yellow flag at turn 1. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the technical difficulties are there for the Ferrari driver, but it seems like there's an issue there with his wheel, which is causing the issues for the car actually getting himself back underway in this race. Tango out in front there by half a second there. The times haven't been loading in properly, so they will be rectified when they cross the start-finish line. They're not 1 minute behind the top 2. There is B Rabbit there. He's only a few tenths behind, as you can see on your screen there. Gordo's been passed by Farf now. Oh, as we go deep on the brakes there, Gordo's dropped down. He's not dropped down any places. He stayed P15, but V Todd now under pressure from Kaz into the final couple of corners there. Kaz has got himself through, has he? He has into the penultimate corner, that is. So he sets the fastest lap of the race. Now he's going to try and get himself after the race leaders. A chap is once again causing yellow flags for whatever the issue is there for the Ferrari driver. Unfortunately, I think he needs to get on the phone to Smithy there. Gordo's back in the pit, or into the pit lane for the first unscheduled stop. I think there's a wing change there for the Red Bull driver. Dan also in the pits as well, off the hard compound tyres. There are yellow flags. There's action all galore in this one as Mr. Elite, not Mr. Elite. Craig R's got a 5-second penalty for a collision with Mr. Elite. Elite. Mr. Elite's got himself through and past Golden Wolf there. I think there's a bit of action there from all of them into turn 4, and that has collected a few drivers there as they got themselves back underway. I think there's damage there for the on the right the end plate's missing there on the right hand side of that Red Bull as well for Mr. Elite. Unfortunately for him, he's going to have to crawl his way back to the pit lane as Craigar sets off. Chappie picks up a 3-second penalty there, but he's struggling at the back there. He's got himself into the pit lane now, and I think unfortunately that might be Chappie's race already sorted as it's done and dusted, unfortunately for Chappie there in the pit lane. And I'm not quite sure what is going on there for the Ferrari driver, but hopefully we'll find out in the comment section or in the Discord after the race. Out in front though, DRS now unable there. Swift trying to get himself back into the lead of this Grand Prix on Tango there into turn 1. Has to think twice about that before diving his nose down the inside there. Dylan now sets the fastest lap of the race. Jenner's got himself past Beast. Has he on turn 1? Oh, it's close indeed, and that is Chappie's ghost car. And there's contact again between Jenner and Beast there into turn 4. And I think Beast has got the position now. And there's contact again between Mumford and Jenner this time through turn 4 on the exit as well. It's getting close indeed. It's getting dicey indeed as Mumford has lost out to Dopey Lemons as they go side by side through here. And Mumford keeps hold of P9 for the time being, but I think there was a bit of contact there that has unsettled the McLaren and then put him at prey for the Alfa Romeo. But unfortunately, fortunately for Mumford, he managed to keep hold of the position. Mr. Elite is back out of the pit lane now. Dan is also strolling his way, or catching up, I should say, down the main straight and now into turn 1. Unfortunately for the Red Bulls and for Dan, they're not a clean start there for those drivers, and unfortunately having to pit for a wing change as well. Reflection up 4 places into P6 there, looking good indeed for the Mercedes driver. Of course, the Mercedes are looking quite strong in the joint constructors as well, but they're looking strong here in Zandvoort as well. P3 and P6 as it stands. Here comes Sweet JP. Can he make a move for the race lead down the inside there on Tango? Not quite. He has to stick behind for the time being. He has to bide his time, but of course Tango has the harder compounded tyres set on that Aston Martin, so he's not going to have to worry too much about the tyre wear as much as Swift JP will do. Of course, they're only 5 laps in, but the tyres do start to wear out quite quickly around this circuit. It is a tyre melter, especially if you've got your tyre pressures switched up too much as well. You need to turn those tyre pressures down quickly when you get to the race strategy there at the beginning of the formation lap as well, is my recommendation. But it's a bit too late for those drivers there now on track there with 5 laps in. I should have told them a few minutes ago, but unfortunately, they're not going to be listening to me anyway, because who knows what I'm going to be chatting about. But there we go then. Swim JP there is actually dropping off the back now of Tango. Of course, DRS is going to be still in play for the Williams driver to pull himself along and get himself back within that rear diffuser there of the Aston Martin. Down the order, Craigar and Irvine switching places as Irvine's not got any front wing there on the McLaren. He's completely lost that front wing. Golden Wolf's going to have to be careful there that he doesn't get any entanglements there with the McLaren driver as well, as Irvine has to make his way back to the pit lane, I think, and get that front wing sorted as into the chicane there, onto the gravel, unfortunately, as well. Jenner's had a problem there. Jenner is off the circuit at the final corner. There's no front wing for him either as he gets back underway. And Kaz is coming through with his teammate there. Unfortunately for Jenner there's no front wing for him. There's no front wing for, I can't remember who it was now. There's V Todd and Favre switching places. These two battling away in the Alpine. And V Todd now into the points as well. Good stuff from V Todd. He's pushing on very well indeed. And like I said, Jenner is back in the pit lanes. Irvine is back in the pit lane. Well, not back in the pit lane just yet. They're into the pits for the first time. But this is an unscheduled stop, of course, for both of them, having to set those new compounded tyres on and get a front wing change sorted as well. But we might see some safety cars later on in this race. Only 6 laps in, we might see plenty of action still to unfold, but they will be hoping there for some safety cars who get themselves back into the fray later on in this Grand Prix. Out in front at the moment, it's status quo there for the top 5, who have got themselves a nice little gap there to Ultimate Beast in P6, who's got himself past Reflection now. Mumford, who's up into P8 there from the back of the grid, has had a great start on the soft compound tyres, but of course they will start to wear out quicker than those on the medium compound tyres and the hards as well. Here comes Swim JP. He's closer, he's got the DRS, he's got the move there, he's back up into the race lead. There is the Williams driver, and up into a P1 there around turn 1, round Tarzan corner, and he's back into the lead where he of course qualified as well. Dopey Lemons has got past Mumford. Maybe those soft compound tyres are already starting to struggle there compared to those on the hards and the mediums as well. Mumford there is dropping backwards now, unfortunately, I think that might be the way it's going to go there for Mumford there in the next few laps or so on those soft compound tyres as they start to wear out compared to those on the more durable compounds. In front, Tango is still putting the pressure on though. He doesn't want to give up this place, does he? And he's always sticking his nose in there. I thought that would be a bit of a dangerous place to go. He's managed to keep himself nice and tidy there, keep that nose on the Aston Martin as well. But yeah, like I said, the top five, I should say, with Kamara Racer there is just disappearing off in the distance now. They've got a 3-second gap there to Beast in P6, and this gap, unless there's any safety cars, will keep extending there throughout the race as well. We saw the top 5 or top 6, I should say, in the gold race last night just disappear off in the distance there. I was one of them, just looking at the mini map there, just wondering when I was going to get lapped. But thankfully, it wasn't a problem in the end. But here comes Bree Rabbit there on the back of Tango. He's got some DRS, he's got some ERS, and they're going to go side by side into turn 1. It could be close on the brakes there. Into turn 1, around the outside goes B Rabbit. Can he get Sweet P as well? Not quite. He has to sit in behind, but he's got P2, and he's ahead now of Tango there. Tango, I think, just biding his time now. He doesn't need to push too hard because, of course, he's on the harder compounded tyre, and I think he got the race lead through absolute fantastic merit there on the start there, and fantastic racing indeed from Tango, Sweet P, B Rabbit, and of course Dylan and Kamara Racer there, who are right in behind there, biding their time for this for the first few laps or so of this Grand Prix. And let's have a look down the order. Their reflection now is trying to get himself past Dopey Lemons there. He's got himself ahead of the Mercedes driver, has Dopey Lemons there into P7 there. Reflection trying to stick with him. Mumford there, I think, on those soft compound tyres is just going to start to drop away, unfortunately, and V Todd and Farf might be licking their lips there as they see the McLaren get closer and closer there as the soft compound tyres wear out a bit more. Craig trying to get himself past and through into P12 on Kaz. He's got himself in that 1 second window down the order. The other drivers are trying to get themselves back in this Grand Prix. Of course, it could be turned around there with a safety car or so in the next few laps. We'll never know. We'll have to wait and see. Here comes B Rabbit now on the back of Swindon Pete. Is he going to go for the lead there into turn 1? Here comes Dylan there on Tango around the outside. Is he? Oh, it's deep on the brakes from Tango, almost into the back of the Mercedes there. But thankfully, no harm done, and that was pretty brave on the brakes there from Tango there on the hard compound tyres. He kept the position though. Yellow flags. It's for Mr. Elite. He's had a problem there in Sector 2. He's got himself back underway and now under pressure from Irvine there. But unfortunately for Mr. Elite, not having a great time there at this stage of the race. Of course, it could come back to him with a safety car as the same for Irvine, for Dan, for Gino and Gordo as well. They're not too far off. They're only 13 seconds off. And of course, they have made a stop as well. So they're technically, they wouldn't have to stop again, I don't think, if they could get to the end of the race from here. But those on the medium compound tyres will definitely have to pit. And I think the hards might struggle as well. But let's have a look and see round the top of the back at the top of the order. Here comes Tango now back on B Rabbit there in towards the chicane, and he has to sit behind for the time being. Very dangerous to go side by side through there. It usually ends up in a lot of time loss, even if you do keep it clean, and there's no damage as well. But now B Rabbit they're trying to keep up with SwimJP there. It seems like the roles are reversed now, and SwimJP back in the lead is looking good indeed. But here comes B Rabbit down the main straight. DRS of course available. He's not using the ERS at this stage of the Grand Prix as he goes down into turn 1, stays in P2 for the time being down the order. The top 5 there all staying within half a second of each other almost, as they've extended the gap now to almost 5 seconds to P6 of Ultimate Beast there. Beast is now being put under pressure from Dopey Lemons there. Reflection in P8. Unfortunately, like I was saying, Mumford has dropped off the back of this battle here as well. Now the soft compound tyres are starting to wear out a bit too much, and V Todd is now going to be licking his lips here. Here comes Farf as well with his teammate. They're trying to get themselves into the top 10, or both the Alpines into the top 10. Of course, V Todd is already in the 10th place. So there we go. Right then, as Serious Mushroom said, I know who I want to win. Good luck from everybody as well for the drivers there as we get ourselves into the second third of this race very soon indeed as well. As Craig has got himself past Kaz there in an unorthodox place as well, to be fair. But he's got himself up into P12 now. He's got an 8-second gap to Farf and V Todd. That is quite a gap to make up as well for Craig, but he can do it. We've seen Craig with some great performances. I remember, I think it was Imola was his most fantastic performance there. Got himself a podium there with some great driving indeed. We'll see what Craig can do. Of course, if the drivers ahead get held up in some battles, then of course that will bring Craig back into the fold. Up the order in the top 5, still no changes there as they carry on for another lap there, on to lap 11 now, as my headset is about to trying to fall off. Tango there, of course, will start to phase in a bit more now as this Grand Prix wears on, as of course he's on the harder compounded tyre. He can go longer and have more grip as the laps unfold compared to those on the medium compound tyres. That is, of course, his tyres will drop off as well at some point, but they will be able to last a bit longer than those on the medium compound tyres in the next lap or two. I think it might start to switch around there, as we can see now Tango trying to start to put the offences on to try and get himself back past B Rabbit there and back into P2 and potentially back past Sweet Andrew P as well, as we go down the middle straight now towards sector 3 to finish off, or start to finish off, lap 11 there of 36 there, almost a third of the way through already. It's been an action-packed start indeed, hasn't it, for this Netherlands Grand Prix? But it has been one hell of a Grand Prix so far, and hopefully it will continue as well the way it has, as V Todd has now caught. Oh, sorry, go back to the race lead, because here comes B Rabbit. They're taking the race lead away from Sweet MVP into Tarzan corner. He's got the lead of the Grand Prix up into P1 for the Mercedes driver, the championship leader, of course, as well, as got himself a gap now as well. V Todd's getting himself past Mumford, as he has done as well, and those soft compound tyres done 11 laps now for Mumford. Oh, as V Todd's gone squirrely there, he's lost out to Mumford, and I think he's lost out to his teammate as well. That has cost him 2 places after getting himself up into P9. He's down to P11, unfortunately, for V Todd on the power a bit too early. And that has cost him the positions, cost him the points as it stands. But of course, these two drivers, the Alpines, need to get themselves past Mumford as quickly as possible. Now he's costing them time as Gino's got himself past Gordo into turn 1 and up into P15 there. But like I was saying, yeah, they've got to get themselves past Mumford as quickly as possible, because he's costing them time for every corner now. The grip on the hard compound tyres for Faf and the mediums as well for V Todd will be so much better than those on the soft compound tyres of Mumford. He's the only driver left on the soft compound tyres, as you can see there as well on the graphic on your left hand side. And there we go then into the chicane once again, and they've lost already half a second or so to the top 8 there, as they've been stuck behind the McLaren for this duration of this lap pretty much as well, after the unfortunate mishap there for V Todd. But I think it might be a double overtake for the Alpines here as we go round in towards the final. Oh, is there contact again? Is there contact between the two Alpines there as we go down the straight? V Todd takes back the position from his teammate afar. They, of course, both get past Mumford as well, who's got into the pit lane there for a scheduled stop. I think the first of the scheduled stops actually for this Grand Prix onto the hard compound tyres. He's got to do a mammoth stint indeed on the hard compound tyres. That is going to be 23 laps or so on those hards for Mumford. He's back out in P13. He's going to be ahead of Golden Wolf for the time being, as he comes back out just at the exit of turn 1 as well, up into P13, or down into P13 I should say. But of course the first of the scheduled stops there for Mumford. He can get himself to the end of the race, I think, on those hard compound tyres, but it's going to be a difficult feat, especially towards the end of the race itself, because those tyres will wear out. Ultimate Beast and Mr. Elite, there, 2 names you want to see at the top there for Equaz as well. I think, unfortunately for Mr. Elite, there is involved in some sort of shenanigans, but Beast has done a good job there of getting himself up the order. We'll see what the position changes are like. No, we won't. We will see. Oh, and he stayed in P6. Never mind. I thought he'd gained me 3 places there. He's under pressure now from Dopey Lemons there. He's pulling off to the inside there to try and stop the Alfa Romeo getting the slipstream as well down towards turn 1, and he's held on to P6 for the time being. The top 5, like I was saying, extended the gap now to 6 seconds there to Beast, as they stay in their DRS train. Here comes Dylan there on the back of 200p. He's lost out to Tango. I didn't notice that, I'm very sorry. But Sweet MP, that he's harvesting some energy as well. He's not having a great time there in terms of the ERS, that is, compared to those around in there. They've got a bit more in the tank in terms of the battery, that is, as well. I'm not quite sure on the fuel levels. We'll have to wait and see towards the end of the Grand Prix. But yeah, it looks like Sweet MP, they're struggling a bit now on the medium compound tyres. Potentially might have to go for an undercut here. Of course, he will get himself out ahead should he avoid any traffic as well. Of course, that is the other thing you need to avoid around here, because of course track position is quite key. Although you can overtake, especially on the main straight down towards turn 1, it is quite difficult indeed if you get stuck behind some slower drivers there in the wrong part of the race. That is, as unfortunately Troy found out and behind me as Tango is in the pit lane. Right then, this is interesting stuff indeed. From the hard compound tyres, Tango has decided to call it a day after 15 laps, and decided to pit for a set of medium compound tyres there for the Aston Martin. That is going to be a bit of a long stint there for Tango there on the mediums. But can he do it is the question, and I'm sure he can. But he's down into P10 for the time being, as he's gone for a undercut, I think, here. And of course, Tango likes his tactical tidbits, or tactical tips, or whatever you want to call them, as Kaz follows him into the pit lane as well. Yeah, hopefully this plays out in Tango's favour. We'll have to wait and see. It could be a masterstroke of a strategy. It could go the wrong way, though, as well. We'll have to wait and see towards the end of the Grand Prix. But he's now got a nice, healthy gap there. He's got some fresh air in between himself and Farf, and Craig are behind as well. So now he can just focus on his own race, his own lap times, and try and get himself back up in the order as well. Of course, there's other drivers yet to pit, as Gordo's got himself past Golden Wolf there into P14. Both these drivers battling away through the rest of the race. Gordo there has got the fuel light on as well. That is bad news indeed for Gordo, because we've seen the fuel have a bit of a problem there towards the end of the Grand Prix, especially in gold last night. So that could come back to bite Gordo. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds, as now V Todd has got himself up into P8 there, of course, with the pit stop there for Tango. No, it's not into the pits. There's Reflection getting past Beast there for P6, up into P6, down the inside there, past Dopey Lemons, or not past Dopey Lemons as well. Dopey Lemons up in P5, Reflection now up into P6. There's contact between the Ferrari. I don't know what happened there, but the Ferrari seemed to just drive into the side of the Mercedes. Yeah, interesting stuff. As a Reflection now is trying to battle away, trying to get himself up the order there, trying to stay within the realms of Dopey Lemons as well. Could use that DRS to pull himself along. Dopey Lemons, of course, is on the hard compound tyres. He's currently the highest runner on the hard compound tyres after Tango pit as well. There we go then. Tango's reeling in the Alpines. Now he's down to under 3 seconds there. He's got a purple first sector as well. He's going to be going great guns indeed there to try and get himself back up in the order, and of course use the undercut on those fresh medium compound tyres to the advantage as well. Swim to P there is trying to stay with B Rabbit there as it stands. The championship leader there is trying to extend the gap there to over 1 second, but he can't quite do it at this stage. We're on to lap 16, soon to be lap 17 as well, almost halfway through this Grand Prix. And like I said, the only strategy call we've seen is from Tango, and he's done a great it's really confused me, put it that way, because he's gone from the hard compound tyres on lap 15 to the medium compound tyres, so he's got to do at least 20 laps. The Swim to P there's lost the car, the rear of the car stepped out there, and now Dylan up into P2. He's got the move on got the position on the Williams car because of that mistake there for Swim to P, unfortunately. And now Kamara Racer all over the back there of the Williams as well. Tango sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Here comes Kamara Racer there, side by side through into sector 2, and that is probably not the best place to try and overtake there, unfortunately, for either driver there. They've lost themselves out that 1 second gap there to Dylan, and Dylan as well has lost that 1 second gap there to the race leader of B Rabbit as well. This could be just what B Rabbit wants as well at this stage of the Grand Prix, to have a bit of a calmer race, calmer second half of the Grand Prix for himself there. But Dylan there into P2 after that mistake there from the Williams driver. Unfortunately for Swim to P, he's done a great job there getting himself on pole position. He can get himself back in the race, back in the realms of this race. Of course, it's not all done and dusted just yet. He's only 1 second behind the top two as it stands there. Kamara Racer looking to try and get himself interested in that podium place as well. And the other Aston Martin there, Tango's caught up to the back of the Alpines now, and of course this is where you get stuck in the traffic a bit. As you can see, as B Rabbit and Swim to P and Kamara Racer all into the pit lane, as Tango there getting himself caught up behind the slower cars there yet to pit, and this is what's costing him some time there as as we go onto the main straight now. Tango there has used up a lot of battery there, and he comes down the outside there of Farf as we go around into Tarzan corner on turn 1, I should say. He's got the move done round the outside, a great move indeed there from Tango, and he gets himself up into P4 there. Reflection at Dopey Lemons and Dylan have carried on, but out of the pits comes B Rabbit there in P6, Swim to P in P7, and Kamara Racer in P8. A bit of clean air for those drivers as well. Yellow flags as V Todd is in the pit lane there. He's coming back out on the hard compound tyres. Craig R is in the pits as well. He's done 17 laps there on the hard compound tyres. Gordo and Ginner have switched places as we had the yellow flag. I think it was for Mr. Elite. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see. Golden Wolf is back is into the pit lane, I should say, from the medium compound tyres. It is action-packed around here, and I can't keep up. But there we go then. It's not the first time. It won't be the last as well. Mr. Elite gets himself ahead of Craig R there out of the pit lane there. But of course, Mr. Elite has made one stop very early on with that wing damage there, and of course, might be likely to pit again, I should say, out in the lead. Dylan stays out there on the medium compound tyres. This is going to be a strategy call there for the Alfa Romeo there to try and get himself as far away as possible there. Of course, he could use his teammate to try and hold up his rivals as well. If Dopey Lemons wants to stay out, of course that is. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. As reflection now all over the back there of the other Alfa Romeo there of Dopey Lemons there into turn 4. Once again, the banked turn left-hander there, trying to get the car pointed in. Of course, as the tyres start to wear out, it gets more and more difficult there. Tango there on the fresh and medium compound tyres is catching hand over fist to the drivers ahead now. These two are battling away there on their tyres as well, with reflection almost into the back of the Alfa Romeo, it looks like there. But he's managed to, of course, avoid any problems there, thankfully, which is good stuff indeed. Kamara Racer was caught up to the back of Sweet MJP there, and they've dropped 2.5 seconds there to B Rabbit there, unfortunately. We've got I thought there was some problems there for VTOD, but he's got himself back underway, thankfully. Craigar, Mr. Elite, switching places as well. Craigar, of course, on the fresher medium compound tyres, has got himself past the Red Bull driver as it stands at the moment there. Of course, I think Mr. Elite will have to come into the pit lane very soon, as Ultimate Beast there is all over the back of Mumford. Now, Mumford, of course, has stopped very early on because he had started on the soft compound tyres. He is now onto the hard compound tyres, but I think it might be a bit of a struggle for Mumford there towards the end of the Grand Prix with the tyre, where we'll have to wait and see. Up in the order, Dopey Lemons is in the pit lane there. He's pitted ahead of his teammate there from the hard compound tyres, and he's going to go on to the mediums, I would imagine. There, 5 carries on there into P4. B Rabbit there up into P5. Tango and Reflection switching places there into turn 2 and 3, and Tango now up into P2 and is currently the net leader of this Grand Prix. It could be tight indeed, because of course we don't know how the strategy is going to unfold there for Tango there. He did 15 laps there on the hard compound tyres. He's going to have to do 21 laps on the mediums, which is a bit of a roles reversed in terms of the strategy in my point of view, but maybe he knows something better than I do, and he probably does as well. So there we go then. 5 carrying on there. B Rabbit now into the fray of the other Alpine driver, as the other Alpine, of course, of VTOD has pitted already and is now right behind Dopey Lemons as well. As Jenner has had a crash, and that's a safety car there at the, as we can see there, the Haas in the wall, and that is a safety car that has helped some people there, I'm sure, as Mr. Elite has just entered the pit lane there as well. That is not great timing there for Mr. Elite, but nonetheless, he can soldier on. Dylan there, of course, this is good stuff from him, or for him, I should say, and for the likes of Reflection and for Far potentially as well. General leaves the session. Unfortunately, him and Chappie are the only retirements in this Grand Prix, and Chappie there retired with a technical fault there. It wasn't his own. It wasn't an incident, I should say. It was unfortunately just Chappie's technical gremlins there, I should say. That was pretty much it. So right there we go. Dylan there coming back out. He's going to be in the lead of the Grand Prix here, which is fantastic stuff indeed for him. 3MJP carries on there. He's on the hard compound tyres. Into P2. Tango is back in the pit lane there, so he's pitted again, has the Aston Martin driver here from P2, and he's now up into he stays in P3 basically. He's lost 1 place there to Sweet MJP. Reflection onto the soft compound tyres in P4, looking strong indeed. Dopey Lemons there takes P5 ahead of Farf, and B Rabbit there is back in the pits as well. So is Kamara Racer, so is Beast as well, and so is Mumford and VTOD as well. So unfortunately for some drivers who've already made their stop, it has not worked out for them, but they can soldier on now. Gordo is in the pit lane, so is Irvine, Kaz and Dan, as Craigar carries on, of course, having made his stop very only a lap ago for the other AlphaTauri there. He's up into P12 now, but yeah, like I said, that safety car has helped quite a few, and it has hindered quite a few at the same time because of the timing of it after their pit stops, or before their pit stops, depending on which car you're in. But there we go then. Golden Wolf there up into P15. Dan coming out the pit lane behind Kaz as well. Now Mr. Elite there is going to bring up the order there. He is back in the train now, as we're just waiting for all the drivers there to catch up to the safety car queue, which is already starting to bunch up the pack there further up the order. Soft compound tyres there for Dylan there in the lead of the Grand Prix as it stands. Reflection on the softs as well in P4. The only 2 on the soft compound tyres. Interesting stuff indeed. Tango there on fresh mediums. So is Dopey Lemons, VTOD, not VTOD, Farf, B Rabbit there, Kamara Racer, Beast, Mumford and VTOD. Craigar's only got 3 lap old tyres there, but he should be able to get himself to the end of the Grand Prix. Gordo there on fresh mediums, as is Irvine as well. Golden Wolf's done 3 laps on the hard compound tyres. Kaz and Dan on fresh mediums, and Mr. Elite on fresh hards as well as it stands. If I was Mr. Elite, I would pit again and put on a set of mediums or softs if I had them in the basket. That is, you may not have any fresh tyres left, but that is that. Then 300p there, of course, on the hard compound tyres is going to have a bit of a difficult time, I think, compared to those on the mediums and the softs behind him, and he might phase back into this Grand Prix towards the last few laps there. We'll have to wait and see. Unfortunately, he lost out there because the timing of the safety car did not suit his strategy, of course, did it? Mr. Elite carries on, so he's not listening to my fantastic advice there in the stream there. So there we go, 15 laps on soft. So Serious Russian, I'm not quite sure about that, but it's doable. But we'll have to wait and see how they're going to last. But I think we'll be hopefully back racing at the end of this lap, I should say, at the end of this Grand Prix. No, at the end of the Grand Prix, that's when the racing has stopped. At the end of this lap, we should have the racing back underway, and we can get ourselves cracking there for another 13 or 14 or so laps in this fantastic circuit of Zandvoort. But there we go then. Mr. Elite's caught up to the back of the train now. So we should have the safety car in this lap. It is in this lap there. So Dylan now becomes the de facto safety car and has to control the pace to the end of the lap, really, before the safety car can get himself back in the pit lane as quickly as possible there, so that we can get ourselves back underway for some racing here. Right then, so the safety car is peeling away around the penultimate corner now. Dylan going through the chicane. And he's going to decide when to drop the hammer here and get the race restarted there. The first safety car of the night, unfortunately for Ginner's accident there at the banked turn of turn 4, as Golden Wolf and Kaz for some reason switching places there in this race. I'm not quite sure what Kaz and Golden Wolf are doing, but they need to sort themselves out quickly, because here comes Dylan. He's off and he's away on the soft compound tyres there. Swing repeat already under pressure there from Tango there as we go around the final corner there to start lap 23 of 36 there, down the main straight. Here we go, and there's going to be tight indeed there. There's almost squeezed swing repeat off the circuit almost. And there's no ghosting there for Dopey Lemons, and that has caused a carnage there from Swing Repeat. He's switched off spun off the circuit and spun back on the circuit, and that is no front wing there for the Williams driver there after that pole position lap time. Virtual safety car has been deployed, I think, with the damage that's left on the track, and unfortunately Swing Repeat there locked up and spun the car back onto the circuit, and Dopey Lemons, I think, got collected. Has he got any damage there? It doesn't look like it, but there could be some minimal damage that we can't quite see on the stream for Dopey Lemons. Hopefully he is unscathed, because he was, of course, a passenger in that accident. He couldn't do anything about it, as the Williams driver wasn't ghosted there in the middle of the track. Is there damage there for Favre? There's a left end plate missing there for the Alpine, unfortunately for Favre. I think he might have been the one who got the brunt of the Williams there, spinning back out onto the track, and I think he's going to have to make a pit stop there for a new front wing, unfortunately for Favre in the Alpine there. That is really bad news indeed. There's a bit of a racing incident there, but I'm not quite sure what happened with 300p. The car just spun back on track, and that is as Serious Mushroom said, bad luck there for Favre, and I think for Swing Repeat as well, because they're going to have to make a pit stop now. Swing Repeat was no front wing for the Williams driver after that little bit of a clash there into turn 1. Of course, like I said, he was spun back onto the track at turn 1, and he couldn't do much about it there. He had to get himself back into the he tried to get himself back underway in the Grand Prix, but he couldn't really, could he? But there we go then. The virtual safety car is still out, which is at least a bit of a saviour there for Sweet Repeat and Favre as well. But at the moment there, we're just waiting for the VSC to go away. It has gone away now, as Beast has got himself past Kamara Racer there. There's contact from Beast there. What is going on between these two here? It's tight indeed. They're not leaving much space for each other as they're going to go through into Sector 2. This is going to get close indeed as we go through the right-hander now, and Beast takes the position there into P6 on Kamara Racer. And that was close indeed. That could have been absolutely calamitous as well if they got that wrong. And thankfully, some good racing there from both the Aston Martin and the Ferrari drivers there, keeping their position, as Golden Wolf's had a problem there. I think Golden Wolf's dropped down the order there, down to P16 there. He's not too far back there from Mr. Elite, though. Thankfully, he can get himself back in this one. Kaz is trying to put the pressure now on Irvine, but Irvine's the one putting the pressure on Gordo, who's just outside the top 10 now as it stands there. Craigar just in the top 10 now as well, which is looking good for Craigar. Can he keep up the pace? They're going to get after VTOD and trying to get himself some more points here in this Grand Prix. VTOD's looking good as well at this stage to get himself some points again. In the Alpine, of course, he did get P10 in the last race in Belgium, in the feature race, that is. B-Rabbit, they're up into P4 ahead of Dopey Lemons now. Almost into the back of the Mercedes goes the Alfa Romeo, but he's managed to keep his wing intact this time as well, which is good news, as B-Rabbit now is 2 seconds behind his teammate, of course, of Reflection. Reflection is looking good here for some good points indeed for the Mercedes driver. He's down the back of the field in terms of the driver's standings, but he's done a great job here calling it right there, getting the strategy right, and of course maybe a bit of luck on the cards as well there with the safety car timing, but he's got himself into P3, currently on for a podium. Of course, I think his teammate B Rabbit might have something to say about that. Golden Wolf has retired. Is that going to be another safety car, though? That is the question. It's a virtual safety car, as not quite sure what's happened there to Golden Wolf. He's on off the circuit there at the top of the hill there. Looks like he's driven straight on at the circuit there. He's gone off at the top of the hill there with the where the sand is. So yeah, we might have to have a look into that one, because that is a VSC. Thankfully, it's not a safety car, or hopefully it doesn't turn into a safety car as well, because yeah, that sort of thing impacting people's races is not good at all. Beast is no F's given, says Sirius Rushman. I think it was just no, it was good hard racing between the two of them there, but thankfully it was thankfully nobody came off worse, put it that way. They just managed to get themselves back underway in the race. Dan has got himself past Kaz, got Ultimate Beast and Kamara Racer once again battling away into turn 1, and Kamara Racer is off the circuit at the exit of the pit lane, and I'm not quite sure what he's in neutral gear there. He needs to get himself turned around there, and I'm not quite sure if there was contact this time there between Beast and Kamara there as we go through turn 4. Dopey Lemons and Beast switching places as well. Beast now up into P5, but I think if there was an incident there, that might be so, as Kamara Racer has crashed as well, and yeah, he's crashed. I think he's retired on the track, to be honest. I'm not quite sure what he's done there, but hopefully that doesn't cause a safety car either, to be honest. I think some people there are just getting a bit hot-headed and not keeping themselves calmed down enough in this Grand Prix. The likes of Kamara Racer and Golden Wolf there, I think, deliberate retirements, to be honest, and that is not going to bode well for their Grand Prix in, of course, Monza next week. Of course, it's quite easy to overtake around Monza, so maybe it's not too bad to have a qualifying ban, but yeah, there we go. So, as Kamara Racer has left the session as well, Dylan is now under pressure from Tango as we go down the main straight. Once again, Tango trying to take back the lead of the Grand Prix, which he once held very briefly at the beginning of the Grand Prix as well. But now into P1 he goes there on the fastest lap of the race as well at the same stage. Here comes Dopey Lemons now down the inside of Ultimate Beast. He's got the move done up into P5. Now Beast is struggling, and Beast has made contact with Mumford. And that is... Oh, and there's V-Todd in there as well. And this is going to get just... it's horrible if they're going to keep battling like this, and that is exactly what you don't want to be doing around Zandvoort, is going 3 wide through turn 4, and there we go then. Gorda's got himself up in the points now with the incident there with Kamara Racer there, I think it was, and now he's trying to chase down V-Todd, but he's got Irvine as well chasing down the back, and that's a Red Bull as well. It's getting close indeed, and of course this is where the fighting starts to happen. We've seen that already in the last couple of laps, and that is where the incidents start to happen as well, so it's getting a bit chaotic indeed, and that's exactly what, like I was saying, that's exactly what you don't need to do in any Grand Prix, to be honest, especially around Zandvoort. It goes wrong, doesn't it? But there we go then, as soft to the wrong idea, says Sirius Mushroom there. At the moment Dylan is staying with the Aston Martin of Tango. He could just use the momentum of the Aston Martin to pull himself back up, pull himself along in this Grand Prix, and potentially steal the win later on if he can just keep those tyres alive. Reflection there has dropped off the back of this battle. Mumford's got himself past Beast, now up into P6 with the aid of some DRS as well. Beast is very late on the brakes over turn 1, isn't he? Craig has got himself past his teammate, has he? Or has he at all? I'm not quite sure. They're going to go side by side, are they, through here? No, they're going to have to sit behind and just bide their time. But it is getting a bit dicey around Zandvoort as we enter the last few laps there of this Grand Prix. And yeah, I'm not quite sure if anybody read the rule book, but you don't want to go crashing into the walls, especially on purpose. But there we go. Beast now is right behind Mumford. Mumford trying to catch up to Dopey Lemon to get himself some DRS to pull himself away from the Ferrari of Ultimate Beast there. Into Sector 2 we go. And, oh, there's a crash for V-Todd there. V-Todd off in the background there. He's lost the control of the car. He's lost control of the car once again as well, and he's got himself back underway, but unfortunately for V-Todd, he was running very comfortably in the points as Craig and Dan once again battling now for P10, and getting themselves in a bit of a muddle there. Unfortunately for V-Todd, not sure what happened there. He's lost the front wing completely, and that is his race unfortunately ruined as well. Can go for fastest lap, of course, with the extra point for whoever finishes the race, as B-Rabbit and the Reflection have switched places. There might be some team orders there from Toto Wolff in the ears of the drivers there, as B-Rabbit, and they're back up in the podium places now. and trying to get himself after the his championship protagonist, really, because Tango is currently in P2 in the championship and Dylan is in P3, and they're currently ahead of the championship leader as VTOD is back in the pit lane there. Sweet MJP is carrying on as well, but yeah, unfortunate there for both Sweet MJP and Favre in the restart there on that lap, and for VTOD as well just a minute ago. But there we go then, the gap now 3.8 seconds there between the top two and B Rabbit there in P3. I think that might be enough for the top two to be comfortable there in those positions. Whether they'll finish in that order is another question there, whether Dylan can fight back there in the rest of this Grand Prix to take back the lead, take back the win, and take some big points there in the championship charge as well. But we'll have to wait and see. Reflection is just trying to cling onto the back there of his teammate, who's setting some good pace there on the medium compound tyres. Potentially, like we saw earlier on in this Grand Prix with Mumford, the soft compound tyre is already starting to struggle now. But Reflection stays within that DRS range, just to pull himself along there, and of course keep him outside of danger there, or potentially of Dopey Lemons there, who might be within the range in the next 5 laps or so before the end of the Grand Prix. We'll have to wait and see. Let's have a fuel light check, or we'll have to come back to that, as Irvine has got himself past Gordo there into turn 1. Dan right in the wings as well, right behind in turn 1 as well, and here comes Craig R and Mr. Elite also in the fray, and of course Mr. Elite there on the hard compound tyres there. He's got some nice fresh tyres on that, nice fresh tyres compared to the rest of the grid currently there on that Red Bull. So potentially, if there's any issues there for the drivers there around him, or ahead of him that is, he could sneak some points here in this Grand Prix. It's not all done and dusted just yet for those two, and we'll go back to the fuel light saga. And no fuel lights flashing there as it stands. I think there was somebody there. Dan Dan's got himself past Gordo as well. Now Dan they're trying to set some pace in the AlphaTauri, trying to get himself past Gordo now, trying to get himself after Irvine as well. They've got a bit of a sizable gap there to Beast in P7 there. Irvine is back into the points there after a difficult start to this Grand Prix. Gordo there just trying to cover off the attack there from Craig R behind him. Mr. Elite is in the wings as well. Both the AlphaTauris, both the Red Bulls there in this fight for the last few points, paying positions here in this Grand Prix, and we've got 5 laps to go there as we start off lap 31 of 36 as well. Like I was saying, no fuel lights flashing, thankfully, which is good news. Beast has got himself back past Mumford. Gordo is into the pit lane there. So Gordo's decided to go for a interesting call here. He doesn't think the medium compound tyres are going to make it to the end of the Grand Prix, I would expect there, because he's decided to come into the pits for the soft compound tyres. And he will be very quick indeed, of course, with Gordo towards the end of the Grand Prix. But I'm not sure he's going to have enough time to make up the positions, make up the places that he's lost there with the pit stop under the green flag running as well. He's lost out a lot more time than he would do under a VSC or a safety car. VTOD sets the fastest lap of the race there. That's a 10.497 there for the Alpine driver. That, of course, will be an extra point for himself and the Alpine team should he finish the Grand Prix. If he DNFs, of course, it won't stand. But at the moment, it's going the way of VTOD as it stands on lap 31 there, as it looks like Dylan is struggling there on the soft compound tyres, I should say. He's stayed within the DRS range there of the Aston Martin of Tango for the time being, but I think this might be the phase, and I think Serious Mushroom might be right as well. It could be the end for the soft compound tyres in this Grand Prix. Reflections dropped off the back of his teammate there, and now could be within the fray as Gordo's gone off the circuit. Gordo, get back on the circuit, would you? Thank you. And Gordo's gone off the circuit there, and yeah, I'm not sure what the antics were going on there, but he seemed like he was trying to spin his car around somehow or something, but hopefully he can get himself back on the way. Mr. Elite there has lost out to Craig R. Now both the AlphaTauris have taken the top 10 position, well, 2 positions in the top 10, I should say, and now are into the points there, double points there for the AlphaTauris as it stands. Same for McLaren, same for Mercedes and Alfa Romeo as well. It is looking good indeed for those drivers there. Dylan has got himself back into the fray, back into the range now, of course, of Tango as well, with some the aid of some ERS, I think, as well, potentially. Now half a second separates the top 2 as Gordo is back in the pit lane. Unfortunately for Gordo, he's not had a good time there on the outlap there for the Red Bull driver. Back in the pits goes Gordo there to get himself onto another set of boots. I think Gordo there trying to get himself back underway and potentially can go for a fastest lap point as well, and he could be out in terms of the right in the fray for the race lead as well, but unfortunately he'll be a lap down, which is not where he wants to be, of course, but he is he's been passed there by the 2 leaders as well, but that of course means that he doesn't have to worry about the fuel load for now. He can get to the end of the Grand Prix without any problems there with the fuel, and he can just power on. As here comes Beast there talking about powering on, trying to go around the outside there of Dopey Lemons there in turn 1. Has he got the move done? Has he held the position there? He has done, I think. He cuts across there, the Alfa Romeo there. He's got the move done up into P5 as Mr. Elite's got himself past Craig. Oh, has he? No, he hasn't. They're still battling away, these two, trying to get that last point there in this Grand Prix. Mr. Elite, they're getting a bit squirrely there through turn 3 and 4. Now that could cost him a few tenths of a second there. Dopey Lemons now has been joined by Mumford there for this battle for P5. As out in front, the closest battle on track at the moment is between the race leaders, and Dylan there is still doing a good job of trying to put up a fight there for the race lead. For the race win, I should say, with 33 laps completed so far, and only 3 to go there as we cross the finish line there in just a few seconds time. The driver of the day vote is out. You can vote for Tango, Mumford or Reflection there for your driver of the day. I will show you the position changes as well. Those are the changes for the driver of the day poll, as here comes Dylan once again. They're down the main straight, getting closer and closer. Is he going to go for a move down the inside? He is going for the move. He's got the move done. He's up into P1 there. Tango just lets him through, and I think Tango may be playing a tactical game there between himself and the Alfa Romeo. They're letting the Alfa Romeo go through to lead another lap there for this stage of the Grand Prix on the more durable medium compound tyres compared to those on the softs, like Dylan and Reflection. Oh, and breathe. Calm down a little bit there, and right, hopefully we can have a grandstand finish here in Zandvoort. There only 2.5 laps to go at the end, well, 2.5 laps to go as we go into sector 2 now for the race leaders here. As like I was saying, get your votes in for driver of the day, everybody. And of course, have a little gander at that at the poll there. Of course, the poll for driver of the day is available for every Grand Prix that ALR host, and of course streamed as well. And most of the races are streamed. Pretty much every race is streamed because we stream every race. And that was a long way of saying you can vote for driver of the day. Again, so good stuff indeed. Get your votes in, everybody. Get the driver of the day crowned as well. And of course, we're going to be crowning not a new winner, of course, because the top 3 currently are all the top 3 in the championship, and they've all won a Grand Prix already in silver this season. B-Rabbit has drained the ERS. They're trying to catch up to the top 2 there, but of course the DRS there is just powerful enough for the top 2 to just try and pull away, especially down the long straight of the main straight. That is, Dopey Lemons there slotting in behind Ultimate Beast there. Mumford there not being able to make any progress either as it stands there. Craigar and Mr. Elite battling into turn 1, and Mr. Elite has the place, has he? Oh, it's close indeed. They're battling side by side through here as well, and it's going to be close through turn 3 and 4 as well now. As into turn 4, Mr. Elite has got the position done. He's up into P10. Yellow flags for somebody. It's a problem for, I'm not quite sure. Never mind then. Thankfully, it seems like everyone's pointing in the right direction for the time being, so that is all good news for now. As here comes Tango now. He's like I said, dropped behind the Alfa Romeo of Dylan, but we're on to lap 35 now. This is the penultimate lap there. We're going to have 1 lap of racing left, and this could get spicy indeed as we go round the final corner there for the penultimate time there to start off lap 36 there on the final lap. Here comes Tango there. No ERS to play with anymore, and Dylan, I think, might have got the job done. Oh, Tango going to go for a dive down the inside. That was very opportune at the time, I should say. But Dylan holds on to the lead as Kaz. No, that's V-Todd off the circuit. Kaz is just letting people through. V-Todd and Dopey Lemons and Beast there battling away as well. Can't keep up with the action around here as Dopey Lemons up into P5. They're getting himself past the Ferrari of Beast, and now Beast is trying to put the pressure on, trying to get himself back up into P5 as well. With the ERS and with the DRS as well, it's going to be close indeed. They're going to go through there. There's contact, and thankfully somehow they've both kept themselves in position to hold on and not get themselves not finish up in the wall here. I need to go back to the race lead, unfortunately, because this is where the action's going to be for the top of the order and into the chicane. Tango can't get himself past Dylan there once again, and I think the tactical play there from Tango there has not worked out, unfortunately, for the Aston Martin driver. Dylan there is going to come around the final corner. Of course, there's DRS available to Tango. It could be a close finish here. Looks, here comes the slipstream. Here comes the DRS. Tango up to the line. Is he going to be able to make a move? It's 1/10 of a second, but Dylan claims the victory here in Zandvoort. A fantastic result there for Dylan there. What a race win there from Dylan, and well deserved as well. Well battled there. 16 laps on the soft compound tyres towards the end there. Fantastic stuff indeed. And I think a few people have run out of fuel there towards the back. But Tango there in P2 by 1/10 of a second there. That is close indeed. B-Rabbit there in P3 in the end gets himself on the podium. Reflection in P4. A great result for Reflection and for Mercedes as well. Great stuff indeed from them. Well done to those drivers there. Beast has crashed in P5. Dopey Lemons in P6 there. Mumford and Irvine there, P7 and P8 from McLaren. Dan in the points there in P9. Mr. Elite in P10 there, gets the final point there. Good stuff from him after a difficult middle stint of the race. Craig R in P11. Sweet MJP finishes in P12. V Todd in P13. Farf will crawl round to the back. I think he's run out of fuel or something in P14, and Gordo has unfortunately had a smash as well on the main straight. We'll have a quick look at the fastest lap there. It is V Todd who's got the fastest lap as well, so that'll be an extra point for V Todd. Well done to him for soldiering on there in this Grand Prix. And that is the race done and dusted, I think. But I think there'll be some reviews to be going on there in that one, as Mumford, of course, gets the driver of the day. I'm not quite sure who's got the driver of the day in the comment section. But, of course, you can get your last-minute votes in as well. But blimey, what a race indeed that was. And we'll have to get some interviews, hopefully, with the drivers as well, as Dylan there is on the top step of the podium once again for the Alfa Romeo team. Tango in P2 and B Rabbit there in P3. The championship protagonists are all in the top three once again here in Zandvoort. So good stuff indeed from them. That just shows the pace that they've got, and of course they're going to be fighting in tooth and nail for each point towards the end of the season there, as we reach the we're into the second half of the season, like I was saying, to get to the end of the season as well now, as they celebrate there with their champagne as well. Great stuff indeed. Right, there is your classification then. Dylan takes the win there from P3. Tango in P2, finishes P2 in the end. B Rabbit there has got himself up into the podium places there. P3. Reflection up 6 places there in P4. Great stuff from him. Beast in P5. Dopey Lemons in P6 there. Mumford in P7. Irvine in P8. Dan P9. Mr. Elite rounds off the top 10 there. Craig R in P11, just outside the top 10, unfortunately for him. Swindler P there had a bit of a difficult restart there on the safety car there, and cost himself some wing damage as well as Farf. V Todd there in P13 there got the fastest lap point, so that will be added to himself, to his tally, and to the Alpine. Favre there P14, Kaz in P15, Gordo P16. Camaro there unfortunately retired from the race. So did Golden Wolf, so did Jinner, which was the cause of the safety car there, and Chappie there had the technical difficulties at the very beginning of the race and unfortunately was not able to carry on. Right then, and driver of the day is Reflection, it looks like, in the comment section. So well done to Reflection as well, from P10 to P4. And I think we've been joined by the, I'm not quite sure if everyone's joined us or not, but we'll start off with Tango there, P2 for yourself, Tango. You took the lead on the hard compound tyres, and I was raving about it in the commentary, because compared to those on the mediums around you, I thought you were going to have a bit of a difficult start. But how was the start for you?
It was alright. I didn't actually have a great initial getaway, but it was just in the second phase. I managed to get alongside him, and then weirdly had the pace and the grip on the inside to get into P1, but rather surprised that I actually did make any positions. I was expecting to lose them rather than gain them.
Well, no, it was a great start indeed, and I think it sort of set you up there for the rest of the race. Unfortunately, the safety car didn't come out at the right time for you, did it? What was your thoughts when that safety car did appear?
If it had been about 2 or 3 laps later, I'd have been much more happy. Let me put it that way. But I think if we'd have had a race like last night, I think that strategy probably would have worked, just by the pace difference on the tyres. And it's the start of the stint wasn't what mattered, it was the end of the stint, keeping the gap. So when I came out, I didn't have about 17, 18 seconds to make up. I only had about 12 or 13, and that's doable with going off hard against really fresh mediums.
Yeah, and then in the end there, we saw a great battle there with Dylan for the last 10 laps pretty much, or he on the soft compound tyres for him, you on the mediums as well. Did you think you had the race win, or what happened there in the last few laps where you saw him get past them, we thought the softs might drop off and then you'd phase back in and take the lead?
No, I probably pushed my tyres a bit too hard. To be fair, I don't like the softs on this year's game for the race. I'd much rather the set of mediums. I think I'm faster on a set of mediums than I am on a set of softs over a stint. So I think if I'd have chosen the softs, I think I'd have dropped back massively. I think Bravitt would have got me. So I wouldn't actually see that as me. I mean, I know I probably should have won because I had the tyre advantage, but I do find that they are more, the mediums I do treat more like the softs on this year's game, because I'll always pick them over a set of softs in that situation.
No, fair enough. And like I said, I think Dylan had he wasn't going to give up that easily either. To be fair, so well played to yourself there. P2 for Tango there, and of course P2 in the championship as well in the driver standing. So looking to get some more points under his belt here in Zandvoort. So well done to you, of course. I think B Rabbit joined us as well. B Rabbit there in P3 after this race. As it stands at the moment, of course, there might be some penalties added on for everybody, but who knows. But yeah, P3 for yourself there. Can you describe your race in a few words?
In a few words, so I don't have lots of time in the commentary box, okay? It was quite okay. I mean, I'm quite unlucky this season with safety cars and with rain, and yeah, again, unlucky the safety car call was not fine for me. So, okay, the first safety car was okay, the second one was just unnecessary, and yeah, in the end I could close the gap, but yeah, the race was too short to close the gap to 1 second and then to fight with them. But yeah, all in all, it was a fine race. I take the podium. Really lucky. I don't know how many podiums I have, but it's a good row right now, so I'm happy.
Well, it's some good points for yourself in the championship. Of course, you lost out some points, of course, with Tango getting P2 and Dylan, of course, getting the race win, but still getting P3 there to keep the championship, well, the pole position in the championship alive is nothing to be upset about, of course. And in terms of the race pace, you look like you had some really good race pace there at the very beginning as well, with the top 5 all within half a second of each other, pretty much for the first stint.
Yeah, I think everyone knows that the ERS is quite rare in this game. Like you don't want to lose it in the first few laps, so everyone was a little bit driving with tactics or for the long game. So me too. And then I think the Williams Street MGP had a little bit problem, so I overtook him. And then it was quite good. I think I lead the race, and Tango did a huge undercut, but yeah, then the safety car came out and mixed everything up. So the race pace was there, but I think to sum it up, the safety car call was unlucky for me, but it happened. So everything is fine.
Well, it was a good race nonetheless, and of course, like I said, another podium under your belt. So we'll have to wait and see if there's going to be one more in Monza next week. Yeah, we'll crack on with that. I don't know if Dylan joined us.
Yeah,
I don't think. Oh, Dylan did join us. Good stuff indeed. Well, yeah. So we'll go on to Dylan now. Of course, the race winner here in Zandvoort. Did you expect a race win there from the start?
Not really, to be quite frankly. I'm looking for a podium after recent races I have is pretty much unlucky, but top 3 or top 5 would be a minimum to get out of it, but not expecting a race win coming out from it.
And you had a fantastic. Well, I think you stayed out for quite a long time there on the medium compound tyres of all things as well, and then the safety car came out at the right time for yourself, didn't it? And so, well, were you very happy when the safety car came out, or did you think other drivers might be able to jump me still in the stops?
For the strategy call, I was delighted with the safety car just came out. To be quite frankly, and I thought B Rabbit would jump me under the safety car, but no, he went in, but Sweet stayed out surprisingly. But yeah, it's pretty much a luck of the draw.
It worked out for you in the end, and of course you had a great battle there with Tango there on the when you were on the soft compound tyres in the final stint. And just tell us about that. You did 16 laps there in the end on the soft compound tyres. They must have been screaming towards the last few laps.
They're pretty much screaming. They were around the 63 or 64 at the end, but yeah, pretty much race manager had to kick into play. Had to use my ERS wisely for the last couple of laps, and when I see Tango derating on the main straight for a few laps, I pretty much had to harvest the ERS till perfect time, which surprised Tango let me by on lap 34, but I had to defend my possession for last couple a couple of laps.
Well, it worked out in the end, and you got yourself a fantastic race win. One more again under your belt there for this season, and looking good to get yourself back in the fight for the championship lead as well potentially. Is that your goal?
One race at a time. No, see, in fairness, but what you call it, it's just one race at a time. To be quite frankly.
Sounds good indeed. Well done to the podium sitters here tonight. Of course, B Rabbit there, P3, Tango in P2, and Dylan, of course, your race winner here in Zandvoort. Well done to all the drivers who finished the race as well. It was a difficult one indeed with this circuit. It usually is, but we'll have a much easier circuit, I should say, in Monza next week. So stay tuned to Silver there in a week's time. Of course, we've got bronze action here in Zandvoort coming up tomorrow night, and then F2 on Wednesday night in the very nice circuit of Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. So so stay tuned to ALR. Plenty more action coming up, and we'll see you very soon.